I invited Will Simon. He is one of my ex-students' successful stories. And he's going to tell you about his journey. Okay? So, thank you, Dave. Okay, so let's give him a big welcome.
All right, guys. I'm Will Simons. I'm 16 and I'm a junior at Elyria High School. I started out at McKinley in elementary school, and then I went from McKinley to here in the 6th grade. Now I was part of the first 6th grade class that was to come up to the middle school. And Mrs. Grayson's been there since day one of 1st grade for me. Come around and we were buddies, friends with the 1st grade class, and then we came back and we met again here in 6th grade. And that's our story.
That's our story.
I understand that you guys are reading a book called Wonder about a boy with, I think it was facial deformities.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct?
Correct.
And Mrs. Grayson came to me and asked, Mrs. Grayson and Ms. Luder asked if I would come and speak to you guys about how I've been bullied and how I've overcome what I've been bullied about and my reasons for being bullied and whatnot. So we'll start out. My left arm and hand are partially paralyzed. It's called a brachial plexus burst palsy. And my left hand is slightly smaller, and I have less range of movement. And for a long time, it was a big thing that kind of prevented me from doing some things. Like, I remember when I was in elementary school, I always got extra time to take tests because I was never able to hold the paper down when I took a test because it would slide all over the table when I wrote. Lots of stuff like that. And I was never really able to play like sports as a kid. Like I was never able to play t-ball because doctors said no. And then the first sport that I had ever like participated in was cross country, and Ms. Luder is a cross country coach. And the team is that team. Like everybody there. When I was there, it was smaller and it was more like. Kind of a little bit different from the football team. I played a season of football the next year. But the team is bigger, and they're like, all right, football, this, and this. And the cross-country team were like, all right, guys, come on, let's have fun at this race. Let's get good times, and then we can go eat oranges on the bus ride home or whatever. And that was always fun. The team was always really supportive of everybody's
abilities.
Yeah, there we go, we'll say that. And they always just supported everybody. And then I've been bullied because when I was in elementary school, it was a little bit different because it was never really the guys that bullied me. Honestly, it was some of the girls. And this one girl, I remember she was taller than me, not anymore, but she was taller than me. And she used to just like, I remember one time, like we were clashing heads in school or whatnot. My mom had to come to read to the class and explain, like not everybody's the same, and we just need to be nice to one another because we're all here together. You know what I mean? So that, and then I guess I'll start here. I started with wrestling in the 7th grade. And Coach Brillhart and Coach Peggs were my 7th and 8th grade wrestling coaches. And Mom was completely against that at first.
No.
This is a 6th grade class, right?
Yes.
Okay, so they don't know Mr. Baczynski.
No.
Mr. Baczynski was the old assistant principal here at Eastern Heights. When I was here and when my sister was here, he was the principal, the assistant principal, and he always told my mom, let him wrestle. Just let him do what he wants. He knows what he wants, and the team, it's good for him. It'll be good for him. So I started out wrestling in 7th grade, and I think I won one match the entire season. It's interesting though, because in wrestling, you wrestle in your weight classes, and I was bigger, and I wrestled 205 weight class in junior high. And those guys that you wrestle with, they really become like your support and your buddies. And I remember, I work with a kid now that I used to, we call them drill partners, and you hit moves and practice moves together. And I work with them now, we're still cool friends, but they really support you. And that was my 7th grade year, and then his name was Seth. He always wanted me to keep getting better, and he was like, you know what, don't let that hold you back. Don't let your arm hold you back. It's nothing to worry about. He's like, you'll be a great wrestler, just work at it. So all the practice, and I remember I won my first match here in Eastern Heights, at home gym, and it was against a kid from Brunswick. And my mom was I never wanted mom to come to the matches because I always lose. But the one match I said, Mom, it's all right, you can come to, I won it. And I remember just seeing my mom stand up and scream, that's my kid, or whatnot.
No.
Yeah, she was that mom.
And crying.
Yeah. And at the end of a match, you're always supposed to, if you win or if you lose, you shake your opponent's hand, and then you run across the mat and shake the other coach's hand, and then you return to their side. I completely forgot about shaking the kid's hand, and I ran up and I hugged mom right then and there, and I got yelled at by Coach Beck. He was like, you can't do that again, just like, shake their hands, and then you can go hug her and whatnot. And this is an interesting story. So this is another wrestling story. This is me my freshman year, 3 years ago, and this is in Twinsburg. Twinsburg's about an hour and a half away, long bus ride. We got there, and you get skin checked to see if you have like the ringworm or impetigo, like skin diseases, because those are transmitted through wrestling sometimes, and that's why you always got to keep clean and shower as soon as you get home so you don't get dirty. So we're standing there, and they check your fingernails because you can't, like, if your fingernails are long enough, you can scratch them and whatnot. In fact, Mr. Grillhart, Mrs. Grillhart's wife, was scratched in a wrestling match one time. And you're supposed to hold both your hands out like this, and they touch your fingernails and feel them to see if they're long. And I was never able, I'm actually not able to flip my hand over. So in 7th grade, all the way right back in the beginning, I learned how to put my hands out like this, so I can feel both my fingernails. And most refs would just feel all right with it. They'd be like, okay, good, your fingernails are good. Good match, guys, let's go wrestle or whatnot. And this guy, I don't even know what, I mean, he looks at my coach, tells me, he says, flip your hands over. I gotta check your fingernails. I was like, I'm not able to do that. I was like, this should be, I hope you can check my fingernails this way. He was like, I really need you to flip them over. I was like, I'm not able to flip my hand over unless I do that, and you won't be able to see my fingernails. And he looks at Eric Burnett, our head coach, and he says, how's a kid with a bum arm supposed to wrestle? And that really hurt me, and I got so angry and heated about it. Before the match, you get like 10 minutes to go focus in the locker room or whatnot. I went and I sat and cried in the locker room. I was so angry. And one of the guys, Alex Parker, came up to me and was like, you know what, don't worry about it. He was hand on me, tapping my back. He was like, don't worry about it. He was like, you're going to wrestle. You know what you're doing. You know your abilities. Don't let this guy tell you that you're not able to wrestle because of something like this. So I wrestled 2 matches. It was a double duel. And I wrestled my first match, and the guy was so strong, I lost. And it was just real tough because I was like, man, I really wanted to stick it to that guy. This is what I can do. And I wasn't able to do that in my first match. Then here in my second match, there was 2 refs, and I had a different ref for the first match. My second match, for whatever reason, the ref wanted to switch out and use me as a warm-up match for the varsity match that came next. And this kid right here, I don't even know what his name was. I can't remember right now. But we shook hands. We started wrestling. It was just like, you roll around. We call them like little battles or whatnot. They're real quick, like one guy's on bottom and then the next guy's on top. We just keep switching. It's roll around. And we got to the second period. I was down by 1 point. And I rolled him. And as soon as I rolled him, that's my arm around his neck. And that's, it's a certain type of hold, and we call them pinning combos. I got him locked up, I got him on his back, and when you get him on their back, that's when you pin. And the pinfall is 6 points for your team. And that's a big amount of points when some matches are won by 1 point or 2 points. And I got this kid on his back with this mean ref that had just said this comment to me. And this is actually, there's 2 pictures. One of them, I'm looking at the map, but this is the better picture because I looked at him and I was like, you going to call the pin yet? Like, come on, dude, I got him on his back. Call it. Then he called it eventually. Right before the period ended, I almost didn't get the pin. but I was more than deserving. So he pinned it, and he stood us up. We shook hands at the end of the match, and I was, because of what line I was on, they raised the champion's hand, and he rose my left hand, but he kind of just took it and then dropped it, and watched it fall back to my side. And it was just like another, like one of those digs, and I was like, man, I just showed you what I can do, and now you're gonna do this to me. It's like I'm 14 now at the time, and you're an adult. I really wish you could be respectful of that, but that's that. And that happened, and then we cleared the mats for the varsity match, and we sat on the edge of the match, and I was so happy I got to show this guy, like, people are able to do things, like, don't underestimate them, and don't get bullied like that. And he came up to me at the end of the match, and he says to me, tries to apologize to me, and one of my other coaches next to me, Coach Chidlaw, and I was like, Chidlaw, I'm going to say this real quick, but it needs to be said. I was like, there's people that are at disadvantages, and they can rise above them so easily. Nothing will ever hold anybody back. I said there's a college wrestler at the Arizona State University. His name is Anthony Robles, and he's missing his left leg. He is a national champion in the 125-pound weight class, and he's just an amazing wrestler. And he's missing a leg, and just learned how to do everything to work for him, and he became a national champion. And the ref was just basically like, I'm sorry. I was like, good. And then my dad wrote a letter to Ohio High School Athletic Association saying that this had happened with the ref. And I think something had happened where the ref was never able to ref at Twinsburg again. Just can't say that to somebody, especially a kid when you're an adult. Then we got in the locker room, and again, these teams, they voted me MVP for the night. It was just really cool. And I don't know, like, bullying is such a huge thing today. I was just talking with a kid this morning. He dropped out of high school for a semester because he wanted to be away from the high school. He did not like the kids. These guys, he was telling me in one of his science classes, he just got bullied so much that he was like, I quit school, and then he went and joined an online school. And it's so sad that it has to come down to leaving high school and going to a computer to have to learn. But I guess I'm here to say, I'm not sure what your book's about, but you seem like a pretty nice group of kids. Bullying isn't cool at all. Not that any of you are, but you're better than that. And if you're one of the bullies, like if you're getting bullied, there's people to talk to. Miss Luter, Miss Grayson, tons of amazing people. I'm sure you have a counselor down there that's willing to listen to you, talk for however you need to, because in 6th grade you don't need to be dealing with getting bullied because it's just not necessary. So that's some of my story. I guess I can say thank you for listening to me. Yeah, questions?
Do you still wrestle?
Not anymore. I wrestled my freshman year. In my sophomore year, I planned on wrestling, and then some things came up, and I didn't wrestle. But there's different styles of wrestling. During the winter time, the high school wrestling that everybody's used to is called folk style wrestling. And then summertime, we have the Pioneer Wrestling Club, which is different styles of wrestling, like freestyle wrestling and Greco-Roman. And I like to get in the freestyle and Greco-Roman room every once in a while, just because I love to wrestle. Some of the kids on the team were not the type of kids that I was friends with. Some of them would get in trouble, and I try to stay out of the trouble scene just because I got too much going for me to get in trouble with some of the things they do. But definitely some of the guys are awesome, like my buddy Caleb and Mike Dolan. They're awesome, and they've come to me and was like, man, you need to wrestle, we miss you. But I actually joined the swim team, which is another amazing thing. The swim team is about numbers, like times, and every week, even if it's a fraction of a second, it gets better.
Do you still wrestle?
What?
But do you still wrestle at the high school?
No, I wrestle. I like to go into the wrestling room sometimes. I'm still friends with all the coaches. I wrestled for 3.5 years. Yes.
Tell them about your trumpet.
Oh, how can I forget? I'm in the marching band at Elyria High. So we have a show tonight. So if you want to go to the show tonight, go to the show. I know Anna's in the show, and then tomorrow's the game, and we play a show. But we work so hard. I've played trumpet since 5th grade. I had Mrs. Brawley from 5th grade through 8th grade, and then I went to the high school, and I joined under Mr. Shepka and Mr. Bates at the time, and now Mr. K's there. And I keep forgetting this is history class. I don't know Mr. K. But that's an interesting story. You guys know what a trumpet looks like, I hope, right? Like it's kind of got some length to it. It's probably about 1.5 feet long. I was not able to play with both hands ever. I've always just played with one hand, and sitting in a chair, that's fine. I just set my trumpet on my wrist, and I play like this. And so when we got to marching band, I was like, man, what am I going to do? How am I going to hold my trumpet up? Because where it flares out, the bell part, like the infamous sunset part, whatever, our band has it up all the time. It's always at a perfect angle. I was like, I'm not going to be able to keep an angle there. So Mr. Bates came to us and said, I have an idea. He said, there's these things called a pocket trumpet. And they're about, honestly, I got big hands. I have really big hands. So it's probably a little bit bigger than the size of my hand. Plays the same as a regular trumpet. Everything's the same, except it's shaped differently. And my parents were able to pull some money together and give me this as an early birthday present from marching band. And honestly, it's one of the greatest things that I've ever received, and I love it. And marching band is awesome. And I just play with one hand and play like this.
It attracts the girls.
I don't have any pictures of it, it's in my car.
The girls liked it too.
Yeah, the girls did like it. every single day, they're like, oh, it's adorable. Thanks, guys. So yeah, I like to stay busy with athletics and sports, just because I like to keep my body moving and busy like that. So marching band's a great way. The wrestling and swim team is just such a cool, full body workout. You'd be surprised at how tired your muscles can get. I'm not even gonna lie.
I bet.
What happened at your first swim meet?
Oh, this is a cool story. My first swim meet, I don't even remember where we were. I think we were somewhere in Parma. And I got in the pool. I was nervous because I was like, I know I'm not gonna be able to keep up with these people. But I got in the pool. I was like, I'm trying to get my best time for myself. So you get on the block, it's called, and then you get down and touch the block and whatnot, and then you dive in. And I swam the 50 free, which is just like in a pool. It's 25 meters long. Swim down 25 meters and then back 25 meters. Really short race, and that's it. So I got in the pool, I dove in, and I started swimming, and Coach Keith Everhart, he different sports. He swam at Cleveland State University. And he's a really good swimmer, and he's an amazing coach. He came to me and was like, there's certain rules with swimming. If you do your fingers wrong or whatnot, you can get disqualified from the race. So we had to open up the rule book, sit and read the rule book and see what I was legally allowed to swim like to receive points for my team or points for myself or credit for even what I was doing. So Keith came to me and he told me, no, just one arm and pull it. And I swam like this the whole race. And everybody had finished. And then with all the splashing being done in the pool with just me, people started to realize, oh my goodness, the kid's swimming with one arm. And they just stand up, people I've never even met, they start screaming my name, go Will, finish out the race, you got it, good job, congratulations. And I remember that happened at a cross country meet one time. I was running and these girls came up to me and they start running with me. Started screaming, you got it, Will. I was like, how do you guys know my name? But that was pretty good. So, any questions?
I got them.
You guys can ask Will any questions. No questions. I can't answer for you, so when he leaves, I won't know how to answer him.
Yes.
Yes.
Do you have any football?
What?
Football?
Well, I played football when I was in 8th grade. I don't know if Mr. Elyria is still here.
Yes.
Is he? Okay. Mr. Elyria was our head coach, and then Coach Cote was there. I'm sure you guys know Coach Cote. Yeah, and they really wanted me to be able to play. They were just worried I was going to get hurt, and then eventually they put me out on the field at our big Northwood game. I think you guys just had yours, or whatever, and they let me play on the big stadium at Elyria Stadium. That was just so cool, and I got 2 tackles, and I got to play after that. Like, I had earned myself a first string spot or whatever because I showed them like,
Yeah, I can do it.
You play football? That's cool.
Anybody else?
Have you ever tried out for basketball?
Oh, okay. I am just not coordinated with basketball. I remember, okay, my plan in 7th grade was to make the basketball team. And I don't remember what happened or why I didn't try out for the basketball team. But I went to the wrestling team because I was like, I'm not good at basketball, so yeah, you play basketball?
I want to, they just said I can't.
Why not?
He's in 6th grade.
Oh, because you're in 6th grade, okay.
We can't break that one.
Okay, I was like, you can play basketball if you want, go ahead and do it. But
I guess
since
he's
you're in 6th
phenomenal.
grade-
That's what I'm hearing.
Cool.
That's how it has, or it has it.
Go ahead and ask me anything. I've heard it all. I'll answer.
Yeah, you guys, because I know you're gonna ask me questions when he leaves. Do you have feel in your hand?
Good question, good question.
Thank you, Will. Wait a minute, 1 minute, Will, because I have to do this real fast. Okay. Okay.
The majority of my, I guess you could say, problems or issues with my, I don't like to look at it as a disability, but we would just keep it real in general here. My disability is nerve damage. I have very bad, very poor circulation, so my right hand will be warm, then my left hand will be cold. The feeling is there. I do notice, like if I'll put my arm around something, I'll be sitting on a couch or whatever, and I'll throw my arm up on the couch, and then I'll go to move it, and it's like, oh, my arm's asleep. And I'll feel it, and I just forget that sometimes these feelings happen. And I feel things just not at the level that I feel things in my right hand. So. Yes?
Did your fingers like stay like not in one place?
I should probably take this off.
You know you have a cute shirt on, Will, so come
I
on
got it
now.
tucked in. Normally I wouldn't have it tucked in, but because I wore a pullover, I did. My elbow does not bend any more out than that, and my wrist is kind of have a weird little slide like that. And my fingers, I can move my fingers, just it takes a lot of focus and work to move them. My shoulder, when I was born, it was forward. It was really far forward. My arm was a little bit back like that. And if you look, my elbow points back right now, and then this one's still a little bit out at the side, but it was a lot worse. And I had a muscle tendon release surgery, release some of that. But yeah, my fingers are really pudgy. Yes.
If you had a choice to cut your arm off and have a new one, would you take that choice?
No. No. I've told you this before too.
Oh, he's told
If
me
I
that.
were to wake up tomorrow with 2 working hands, I would not know what to do at all. I'm so used to, if there's a water bottle, I'll open the water bottle a certain way, or I open and unlock the door certain ways. Everything I do is just so working for me. I don't know what I would do, so I honestly don't know.
Good question.
I don't know how to go with this order. I will go with you first. Yes.
Would you like raise your hand if you wanted to?
If I were to, the highest I can raise my elbow, but with my elbow, the way the muscles work, my whole arm comes in, and that's about the highest I can raise my arm with my elbow. And I don't why, but whenever I try to raise it, it comes in like that. So, yes.
What hand do you write with?
I write with my right hand, but this is a funny story. When I was in the 7th grade, I got mad and I punched a wall and I broke my hand. I broke my hand. Do you remember this, Miss Grayson?
I try to forget.
Yes. I broke my hand. And I had to learn how to write with a cast. My fingers were in a cast like this. And I had, my dad gave me, I don't know if his hands, he's kind of getting old. He's about 50.
Hey now.
Crinkly hands.
His mother is not, though.
And so he's got really big pens, and he was like, here, have one of these pens, and you can start to learn how to write with the big pens, so you don't have to squeeze your fingers together. So I learned how to write with my right hand in a cast.
Huh.
But I'm definitely right-handed. I think you had a question, yes.
Like, what if you were forced to? Like, it was demanded.
If I was forced to,
Yeah. Get your arm. Yeah.
I mean, if I was forced to, of course I'd have to, but I wouldn't like it at all. I would definitely miss the way that I was because I'm so used to, and honestly, my arm has made me the person that I am today. Good or bad, it's just molded me to become what I am right now. And I think if I didn't have it, I wouldn't be the person that I am. I think you had your hand up? Yes, what's your question?
If you had your right hand full of groceries, how would you unlock the doors to left hand?
Usually I get in trouble for this at home because Mom always tries to grab more groceries than me, but I don't like that, so I'll take all the bags.
Oh, sure. You want a bag? Oh, okay.
I'll take the bags and I'll snap probably 3 or 4 of them just on my wrist like this. And I'll walk up to the door, and then if I have like 3 in this hand and 3 in this hand, I'll just put them on there real quick and unlock the door real quick. I got pretty good at it. Or I'll just set them on the ground and unlock the door and I'll put it back on there. So that's
I bet you are so strong.
Mhm.
Your upper body.
Yeah.
Yeah. I bet.
I've had to make accommodations for myself. We were just in Ohio State for marching band last week, and one of the kids that I was in a room with in the hotel just signed with the Marines, and he's now a U.S. Marine, and he's been going to the physical training and whatnot, doing all the workouts, and he wanted to arm wrestle me, and I beat him in an arm wrestling contest. I just thought it was pretty awesome. I was like, I just beat a Marine, so.
Yeah.
You know.
Your goal, oh, I'm sorry. Your
Home
friend.
about driving a
Okay.
car.
Oh, yeah, driving.
Does this have to do with your book? Because I don't want to go too far.
Sure, you know, everything has to do with your
Okay,
book.
all right. When I started driving, I got my temporary license at 15 and a half, and you have to drive with your parents for 6 months, and you have to get a certain amount of hours behind the wheel with your parents and the instructor. And we went to the DMV, and I was like, I don't know if he's going to have to get any sort of restriction on his license or endorsement saying that I'm allowed to drive with one hand because you're supposed to drive, it's called 10 and 2, because you look at the clock at the 10 and at the 2, you put your hands up there. But I can't get my hand on the wheel unless I like throw it up there. And if it's up there, it's up there. And if I make a turn, it's going to be down. And it's just not safe to lift it back up and take my hands off. So we learned how to drive with one hand, and I have 2 really good positions that I like. I like the 12 o'clock position on the clock, and then I like the 5 o'clock position right down there. And you can ask Ariel, I'm a good driver. I'm my best friend. Quentin, I'm a good driver.
Yeah.
But yeah, teaching myself how to drive, that was one of the coolest things ever because, I don't know, I think driving is so cool, and I enjoy cars a lot. But yeah, driving is fun. Yes?
You ever drove with your knees before?
What?
Have you ever drove with your knees?
No, because that's unsafe.
Good answer,
No.
good answer, good answer, good answer.
Thank you.
Will, you know, I've never asked you, what are your future? What's your future? What are you thinking about? I know you're.
I'm not very interested in the math or the science. English is alright, it's cool. My really big, like my favorite class or my favorite subject, if I were to go into the options that I'd be given with science, math, English, and history, would definitely be history. And it started out from Mr. Buzzard down the hall, if he's still down the hall. I really like history, and I like business, and I like economy, and I like politics.
Mhm.
And I thought a lot about law enforcement. I thought about being a police officer,
Mhm.
or maybe some sort of historian, or. And when I was younger, I was like, oh, cool, I'll be a history teacher.
Mhm.
That's kind of faded out. So probably a police officer,
Wow.
or some sort of law or business. Sheriff, you said this should be a sheriff.
Interesting. Any more?
Well, what time do you have till?
We have a while still.
But we definitely need a group photo,
For sure.
for sure. And I believe we have a couple
Oh, my
photos to share
student
with
made
you.
this for
Oh,
me because,
cool.
Will,
Yeah.
I'm still not good on the computer. So I nominated anyone to help me. So this was like in 10 minutes she did this for me. Are you ready? No? Okay. Oh, that's honest. Oh, I have to unfreeze it, don't I? This was my job, Will.
Oh, cool.
Can you hit the lights, Will?
Sure.
Was my big job. Now I have to find the freeze button. Yes. I put her on the spot, you know, this was like, you gotta do this. It's kind of, we had to make it a little bit.
Look at
I
that
love the
baby
little rosy
face.
Baby face.
Baby face.
That was one of the proudest moments of my day, life, the Apple Fest. That was in Medina.
That was the best we could do.
Thank you. That's awesome.
That was beautiful.
Can you put the one picture back up of them running him in? Yeah, the third one. Wait, right here.
Isn't that neat?
I remember that day very
I'm
well.
still friends with Anthony Rowe,
Yeah.
Sam Reinhart, and Haley Davis.
And then if you go to the Apple Fest picture, which was the one before that,
Yep, Alex is one of my
not
best
many
friends.
people got to see the actual finish because everyone was worried about your mother. Because she was crying so hard, we had to go see if everything was okay. So not everybody got to see the end, but it looked good from where I saw it right there. And then I was gone. I had to
This
go
is
deal with
Max
you.
Hall,
Yeah.
Brendan Cooper,
Tommy March.
Tommy March.
Drummer.
Okay. Who's that?
That's Lil Ron.
Oh, okay. All right. Yep, I'm still good friends with Max and his little brother Alex, and that's my best friend right there.
Quentin.
That's Quentin.
Quentin
And they ran him
ran.
in.
Yep.
Everybody ran him in.
I knew the questions would come up now.
Yes.
You guys got a question?
100. Oh, the police come by? Is that what you said?
At the end of a race,
At that Apple Fest race, that
Yeah.
police car you saw, because they have to make sure no traffic comes and hits our runners.
yeah.
Nobody was chasing him down.
That's what it felt like, though.
They
That's
just
what
want
it
to
felt
make
like,
sure
though.
that there's nobody that's driving on the course.
Yeah.
That's all.
Is
Is
that
it,
you had another question?
That's, you know.
is it fair to get a group picture now?
Sure.
I think it's pretty important to get a group photo.
Sure. Why don't you-
Photo. Let's
All
go,
come
let's
on
go,
up.
let's go.
No, just stay here.
Sit your honey in that chair.
I like this shit.
No, this is his moment.
We just need to click those lights on.
Really.
Mrs. Baker,
But Mrs. Baker, if you're in the room, yes, please.
Mrs. Simon.
You know what? This is
No,
his
okay.
moment.
Okay.
All right, scoochy,
We gotta
scoochy, scoochy, scoochy. We're way too far. Will, you gotta get in the middle. Let's
For
go.
sure.
Scooch
Yeah.
in, everybody. Scooch in. He does not bite. He told you
Nope,
to
not
took a
at
bath
all.
after
Not at all.
wrestling season.
Always.
Let's go. Get in there.
Squeeze.
Come in, guys.
Ladies on the end, you have got to get together. Ladies on the end, you have got to get together.
I will
All right, here
verify
we
he
go.
showered.
1, 2, 3. Wait. Beautiful.
Yay!
I love it.
Thank you, guys.
Now let's give Mrs. Grayson and the fam.
The fam.
The fam.
Now.
Please.
Okay, you
Thanks
can.
for having me, guys.